Okay, I'm back. I'm going to do another video. I've done one before on money. I've done a couple before on money, but I'm going to do another one because I recently had a conversation with some club members talking about money and making money. And I just wanted to put this together because this to me is a very simple approach on how to make money. Now I know everybody has different amount of play style, different amount of time that they can dedicate to the game, different city level, the amount of factories you have, type of factories, how much time you can put into the game all matters. And so you have to tweak what I'm saying here, if you like what I say, to fit your play style. That's always key. But just to run through this real quick, obviously everybody's going to have factories, and the thing that you want to do is to try to make sure that your factories are producing stuff all the time, so that when you log in, the stuff is ready, but it hasn't been sitting for an inordinate amount of time when it could have been used to make something. So you have to try to log in to use your stuff efficiently, if possible. And in my opinion, if you can log in a minimum of 3 times a day for about 20 minutes each time, you should have no problem making somewhere in the neighborhood of 250,000 simoleons a week just selling. Now, this is going to be impacted by how much you participate in the contest of mares and what you have to do in the contest of mares. But this is just a general guideline. So when I run my factories, let's go down here and look at the factories. I do have 12 factories. I have 3 factories dedicated to the basic low-end metal, wood, plastic. Then I have 2 factories for seeds, and then I have 2 factories for I call it poison, but it's chemicals. And then the remaining factories, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the remaining 5 factories are for cloth, the textiles, they're called. And I will alternate, depending on my needs, a little bit. For the most part, however, that's what I use. Now again, adjust it to your play style. Some people change it at night, whatever, however it works for you, of course. This is just a guideline of what I'm doing. Coming back up here. In my opinion, the best way to make money for your farmer's market is to make flour. Flour is 24 minutes, produces relatively quickly. You can make the cloth, you can make the seeds, and bam, you produce flour. And for a profit margin, even if you had to buy the products to make it, if you didn't produce it yourself, the profit margin for flour is $340 per bag. And that's pretty good for something that pushes out in 24 minutes. And it sells really fast. So if you don't want to make flour, to me, the next best thing would be to make the cream. All it requires is 1 feed, and even if you go buy it, the cream is profit margin of, let me find it here, 300. A little bit less than the flour, and it does take significantly longer. Again, depending on the upgrade level of your stores, your production may take longer, but for me, the cream takes an hour, and it's simple to make, though. It only requires the 1 animal feed. So I make stuff based on what club members need, or what I need, or what's going to be coming up in COM, but I also make stuff to make a profit, and the flour is definitely a big profit maker. The hardware store, in my opinion, is not designed to make stuff to make a profit. You want to use the hardware store to make stuff that you're going to use to make stuff, or that you're going to help club members with, because in my opinion, the game is very much club oriented. You don't have to be in a club, of course. I am, so I talk about the way I play. You you want to be club oriented, and to me a part of that is to always have stuff for sale, or as often as you can, that's going to help your club mates. We're going to get back to the hardware store in a minute. Fashion store. In my opinion, hats, boom, they're 48 minutes. Pretty simple. All you need are the tape measures and cloth. So you're going to be using the cloth for both flower and hats. And if you run out of cloth for any reason, you can also make watches. They're a little bit more intensive on what's required, but it's the two things in this store that are the easiest, quickest, and in my opinion the best to make. So I'm going to look up this fashion store here, and again, the profit margin for the cap, if you take into account that you have to buy all the product you need if you didn't make it yourself, profit margin is $310, and for the watches the profit margin is $350. Now the cap is a little bit less, but again it pushes out faster. So you can sell these all day long, and if you put them on global, your depot empties really fast. So they're big sellers. Coming up here to the donut shop. The big thing for me is the donuts. Now, if you're selling the flour straight outright, you don't even have to make anything in this shop. But if you want to make donuts, you'd use the flour, and then sugar is pretty easy. And everything that I don't make in my factories, I just purchase to produce the items that I need. So unless it's for a COM assignment, a contest of mayors assignment, I won't even make sugar. I just buy it on the global market. And anything that I said I didn't produce in the factories, it's the same way. I will just straight out buy it, because it's easier to buy some product than it is to make everything. You just don't have enough time in the day to make everything. Some people like to make bread, and it does sell really well, but in my opinion, it requires so much. It requires flour and cream, which takes up just way too much time for you to make in your store down here. I've even forgot the name of it already. The farmer's market. There we go. It just takes way too much time to make both of those products, and then spend almost an hour to push out a bread roll. And the profit margin for bread, if I can look at that, the profit margin for bread is $260, which isn't really that good, especially when you take into account that you're making more if you just sell the flour straight out. So you don't even have to make a secondary product. And the donuts, the profit margin is $270. So I make the donuts, I make the bread, I make the coffee in here, and every once in a while I'll make the remaining 3 items as well. But I only do it because I make it for war, and I make it to help my club mates. I don't really make anything in this store for profit. It's not the best profit making. But if you're going to make something in here, probably donuts is the best option. Up here, just because it doesn't really require much else, I make the barbecue grill all the time. And when it comes to the barbecue grill, your profit margin is $250. It doesn't cut into anything else, because you can use the hardware store. There we go. I'm sorry. You can use the hardware store. You can make stuff in here really quick. You can make the tape measures to make your hats, and you can make the cooking utensils to make the barbecue grills. But if you run out of cooking utensils, I would always say the tape measures are priority. And the barbecue grill, it takes quite a while to make, so it's not really that big of a deal if you don't have a cooking utensil made. You just wait and you'll get to it eventually. Barbecue grills do sell. They're not huge profit, but it is something that doesn't really cut into other items, so why not make something here? The building supply store, you can make a really good profit on the glue and the concrete. They're the two best profit making things here. And if you're on and you want to just push something out really quick and make a profit, the nails, you can push those out because it's just straight metal, and bam, you can make nails every 4 minutes. But in my opinion, the building supply store probably is better suited to just be there to help you make the other items that you're going to make. Again, you can do it how you want. If we're going to look at profits, the concrete and the glue, let's look at those. Cement, profit margin is 300, so that's not too bad. And the glue, the profit margin is 295, and those are the two best profit margins. But the nails do have a profit margin, and again, when I deal with profit margins, I'm talking if you had to buy every item needed to make that product, how much would you make even still after spending to buy everything? Not if you produced it yourself, but if you bought everything. The nails, which like I said, they push out every 4 minutes, and you're making 60 every nail, so that's pretty good. And as far as the planks go, everything really is pretty good in this store, but the planks push out and give you a profit of 80, but that's 24 minutes. So if you want something fast, nails. If you want the, in my opinion, best items, the cement and the glue. And outside of that, I would probably just use this store to keep yourself supplied and to help club members. Then we come up to the furniture store. Once the wars kicked in, tables became really huge, in my opinion. And tables are sort of easy to make. They do require the hammers and the nails and the planks, which can be annoying. But they do sell relatively quickly, and they only take 24 minutes. And when we're talking about profit, let's come back here again. The tables give you a profit margin of 130, which is not very good, but they do push out quick at 24 minutes. The next item that I would make in this store is the cupboard, and that pushes out every 36 minutes. And again, your time frame is probably going to be different depending on how upgraded your stores are. But the cupboard, again, it requires glass, which I purchase. I don't even produce. It requires paint, which is something that you would have to make in your building supply store. And it requires the planks, which again you would have to make or buy. But planks and paint are hard to buy. Every 36 minutes you can make a cupboard, and the profit margin on the cupboard is 220. Now again, it's not, in my opinion, the best store to make profit from. Maybe just make the items for what you need or to help club members, but it's not a big profit making store, that's for sure. If you wanted to make the home textiles, they do take an hour, and just because I make some, even though it does use tape measures, the home textiles have a profit margin of 230. So again, nothing really big, but it is something if you want to use it. Up here, saplings, straight up, you can use seeds and shovels. As far as the profit margin here, the saplings, the saplings give you 210, which isn't great. The garden furniture takes a long time to make, though. That's a profit margin of 350, and the lawnmower is a profit margin of 330. But again, in these stores, the items required can get intensive and cut into other things. So for me, if you really want to make money, it's pretty simple. Focus on your farmer's market, make the flour, make the cream. They sell, they're good profit, they're easy, you can push them out. Use the hardware store just to build the stuff that you need to make the other items. The fashion store, again, it's a profit store. Make your hats, make your watches. The donut shop, up to you. I personally wouldn't be too worried about it. Home appliances, when you get time, push out grills. The building supply store, make stuff so that you have what you need to make other items. It's not really profit margin store. Furniture store, same way, if you want to push out tables or cupboards, but again, it's not huge profit. And the gardening supplies, again, saplings, push straight out, bam, they sell pretty fast. They will always sell. And if you don't want to make those, if you want to make a little bit more profit per item, even if it takes longer, the garden furniture, and the lawn chairs. So that to me is how you would determine what to make. And when you come up here to your trade depot, I'm going to presume, let's say, now everything we've covered, let's say you have 10 slots, which I have all the slots. What is it? I think 32 or 36. I've forgotten, but I've purchased all of them that there are to purchase. But let's say you only have 10, and let's say you log in 3 times per day. Now, what I like to do is I like to sell items in quantity of 2 or 3, because if you sell in 5, sometimes you're going to scare people away. They don't have that much money, they don't have that much space, they only need an item or 2, whatever the case may be. Sometimes people are going to have a tendency to say, no, I don't need that many, and skip past it. So you might actually scare potential buyers away by having too many items. So I don't stack up to 5 unless it's something that I think you're really going to need, like the cloth, a basic item. If somebody doesn't have time to produce it, they're going to buy a stack of 5. But another thing that I like to do, and again, this doesn't count the basic items, is when I put things for sale, I try to have the amount that they sell for, or at least I used to, I don't do it so much anymore, at a minimum of 1,000. So for example, you look at the grills, 2 of them is 1,060, the tables, 2 of them is 1,000. You put 2 green smoothies up, and that's 2,300. You put 2 of your coffees up, 1,500, etc., etc. You see what I'm saying as we come across here. But that way, if every slot that you fill is, let's say, 1,000, even though some of them can be more, but if on average you're right around 1,000, and you sell 10 slots worth of items every time you log in, okay, then that's 10,000 per emptying your depot. So you log in, you do that 3 times a day, that's 30,000 per day in sales. And if you do that 5 times a week, that's 150,000 a week. Now, this is bare bones minimum. You should be able to do this without a problem, and really you should probably be able to double it, because if you sell in stacks of 3, once you get going, then you're going to be closer to 2,000 on most of your product. But just doing it for what I would consider bare bones, you got 3 times a day at 30,000 each, and we're only going to do 5 times a day, so that's 150,000 a week. That's not too bad for just selling. Then you can collect your taxes as well. And of course, you got to take into account you're going to spend money because you've got stuff that you're doing with your contest of mayors and whatever. But if you just focus on making money for a week or 2, or maybe even a month, if you try not to buy so much, don't worry about increasing your land, don't worry about your storage, just focus on making money. You can, at bare bones minimum, make 150,000 a week. And when I see people that talk about how they don't have any money, they're short on money, they're down to 10,000 simoleons or whatever. Granted, I have played for something over 2 years now, I think it is. I didn't keep track, I'm not sure. And as you can see in my bank, I've got just over 2 million. This game is a long-term game, so my money came from selling. Granted, yes, collecting taxes, whatever, yes, I do win from, the contest of mayors and whatever I get from participation in the wars. But, and the daily videos and gift boxes and all that, but the primary income source I have is selling. And if the item isn't selling, if my depot is not moving on a regular basis, I'll put it up for sale on Global, and the stuff will sell. It sells fast. Now, as you can see in my depot, I have stuff that I say isn't profit, like for example corn. I didn't mention that, but corn is such a pain. It takes way too long to make, and as you can see, 2 of them are only $5.60. It's a joke. but you need corn in the contest of mares. You need corn in the wars. So I try to be helpful and have it for club members. Again, I'm going to wrap this up here, but the two biggest, best places to make money, let's go back one more time. Farmer's market, it's huge for making money. You can make flour and you can make cream, and it's just awesome. Hardware store, make product for yourself. Fashion store, again, it's the money-making store. Hats, and if you run out of items to make hats, switch over to watches. If you don't produce stuff and you just purchase it, these items are easy to buy, or relatively easy to buy compared to other things. And hats, watches, flour, and cream, you can make a lot of money really quickly, even if you log in just 3 times a day for 20 minutes a day. And why do I say 20 minutes? Because to make these items, you're gonna need the seeds, and the seeds are a 20-minute item. So you can log in, you can collect your seeds, you can put a new batch of seeds up, and before you leave again, you can collect them and put them back up to produce again. All you need is 3 times a day, 20 minutes a day, and you can make $150,000 a week, and that's bare bones minimum. I'm telling you, you can double that. You can make $300,000 a week, and that's taking 2 days off. You can make more than that. This is bare bones minimum. If you push hard, you can make $1 million in a week. So anybody that needs to make money, this is how you do it. This is where you do it, and it doesn't take that long. Granted, you've got to have a moderately decent storage, and you've got to have your factories, and you've got to put the time in to actually log in and put the items up for sale. But hopefully this helps. Hopefully somebody appreciates it. Hopefully I haven't talked too long. If you think there's a better way to make money, if you think there's a better strategy for production and selling, feel free to put it down in the comments. And regardless what you do, I hope everybody has a good day. Thanks for watching.